When you look at the economy today, Lula, when he was a president from 2003 to 2010, when he left, his popularity was at 80% when Lula left. Popularity at 80%, approval rating 80%, and then obviously Operation Car Wash, he goes away. Alexandre de Moraes goes and brings him out because they didn't have anybody on the left to promote. And he goes out there and he wins. He becomes the president. Everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be fine. Today, in December, his approval rating hit 35%. Today, it's 24%. This is the lowest it's ever been in Brazil. So even there is videos of when he goes to the House, everyone's booing him. He rarely goes to the House. Yesterday, we had a chance to go visit the House and the Senate here in Brasilia. And while we went in, we're looking at the building. This is one of the examples of him walking. And Rob, if you want to play this clip. I don't know the exact date on when this was. I think it's fair to say he's not very popular today with the voters. In a recent interview, while he's asking about prices are very expensive. He originally sold a dream to everybody saying, we're going to go back to the days where we can have picanha and beer on the weekends. We're going to go back to the days where you can, party and have a good time and enjoy yourself and have all that stuff. Is this the clip when he said that, Rob? If you can play this clip.
I talk about a lot of things. I talk about economics, people. I talk about everything. I'm like Mercadante, like you. I speak. Now, what do people like? They like it when I say, look, we're going back to getting the family together on Sundays and having a little barbecue. And we're going to eat a great slice of picanha with that strip of fat dipped in farofa and drink a damn cold beer. Man, people go wild because that's what people want.
That's not fake news. That's not a lie for the Brazilian justice. I myself would call it a farce, a cowardice, because unfortunately, there are many people who believe in it. And here we are. From the moment when he gets cozy with dictators around the world, when he says that Hamas is not a terrorist group, the democratic world is moving away from us. No one wants to invest here in Brazil anymore. The capital outflow from Brazil has existed since after the presidential elections in 2022. I was in Florida and became aware of this. In other words, our situation here is the worst possible. When it comes to corruption, the accused of corruption in plea bargains are always the same. These people have admitted their crimes in exchange for a reduced sentence and handed over 5 billion Brazilian reals, individuals. Legal entities made a leniency agreement, the businessmen, to return 15 billion reals. Divide that by 6, that's what it is in dollars. This is the portrait of Brazil. I'm not speaking badly about my country, I'm telling the truth. And now you see. A scoundrel like that, Lula da Silva, lying about barbecue, picanha, and beer to win elections. And during the campaign, I couldn't show Lula with Ahmadinejad, with Chavez, with Maduro, with Fidel Castro, with Ortega. With drug dealers in Rio de Janeiro, during the campaign in 2022, he went to a community, a favela in Rio de Janeiro, called Morro do Alemão, to talk to local leaders who were elected among the organized crime. Our Minister of Justice in Brazil, who is now at the Supreme Court, entered a community in Rio de Janeiro where you can't go without getting shot and walked in openly to talk to drug dealers. That's what's happening in our Brazil. This is our Brazil, unfortunately. We are in an increasingly worse situation. There's no point in me trying to hide something or not talking about it, because I'll have problems either way. Without committing any crime, they want to sentence me to 28 years in prison in a scheme that only makes sense to those psychopaths who don't want the possibility of me running for election. If I run, I win. We're in shape to win the election, not to win votes. We already have more than enough votes to win the election, but they don't want us back. We disrupt the life of harmony that the authorities have. What kind of life of harmony is this? Everyone does whatever they want, and the people, well, they have to fend for themselves.
Well, I mean, the good thing is the fact that these videos out there for people to see, to know what he said, right, in the past. Here's another one where he's talking about folks who can't afford groceries today, right? Instead of saying, hey, let's find a way to improve the economy, he's saying, don't buy it. Rob, if you can play this clip, here's Lula.
Yes, one of the most important things for us to control the price is the people. You know this. If you go to the supermarket there in Salvador and you suspect a product is expensive, you don't buy it. Then, if everyone has this awareness not to buy what they think is expensive, the seller will have to lower the price to sell. Otherwise, it will spoil.
How do you react to that?
Everything's expensive here. We have supermarket brochures from previous years. All the prices have gone up by a lot. And to try to cover all this up, he enlisted the institute responsible for statistics in Brazil, which provides the inflation numbers, for example. Every month, he's already used to it. His habit is to torture numbers to lower them, but people know what's happening. The price of coffee here is 90 owls. It doesn't make sense. That's it. Essential products too. With that rise in the dollar by the end of December, beginning of January, it reflected in a 7% raise on the average price in supermarkets. It doesn't make sense for an agricultural country like ours to have these prices. What did I do back then, especially during the Ukraine and Russia war? Because prices rose worldwide. I did something here that no one expected. Together with our Minister of Economy, we started to reduce or eliminate taxes. I eliminated the federal fuel taxes. I eliminated the import tax on many items. I reduced taxes by a third on 4,000 products. And believe it or not, we started to collect more. As we often say, it's all about the economy, right? That so-called Laffer curve. The tax burden was so big that the more it grew, the less it collected. Then we found out, and our politics, for example, about reindustrialization and making groceries prices affordable, it was exactly that. Fuel prices affect the final cost of these products because of transportation in a country as large as ours. We did what was needed. Now, I'm sorry that the other side here lies all the time. You can see in 2018, Lula was convicted in the state federal court. He got authorization, the passport to go to Ethiopia. Me, without conviction, could not go to the United States. And Lula's most important panel from 2018 is the following: United Africa. Is Africa here? To eradicate hunger once and for all by 2025. It's always the same talk, stomach. It's about the poor, about social projects, it's barbecue, it's beer. Now I believe that this phase of lies, people are starting to realize what's true, although a large part of the population can't really understand who is right and who is wrong. And they are just now understanding that socialism will lead everyone to misery, as is true here in Brazil. Socialism, communism is turning all the equals in Brazil into misery, to the bottom, unlike capitalism. With me, at the end of my administration, among other things, we have a lot of informality in Brazil's job market. It also exists in the United States. But the informality there is different from here, right? But we were at full employment in Brazil practically, combining formal work, informality, and the people receiving social benefits. Now, everything went back, is going backwards. In Brazil, although at first it started collecting more revenue, considering the increase in the tax burden, entrepreneurs are investing less and less here, taking their investment money abroad.
Oh, and that's one of the reasons why I asked you if the visas are going to China, Paraguay, other places. And I want to get into the business owner, but how bad can this thing get until the people finally say we're done? And has there been any conversation about impeaching Lula or not yet?
No, the calendar does not allow for an impeachment now. If you start an impeachment process now, first you need popular support. For now, the people have not woken up to this, and this process is lengthy. We have the movement now, on March 16th, where I said that I am against impeachment, because if it were to happen, if everything goes well, it would happen around the middle of next year, already on the eve of the elections, and we should strengthen our work here for amnesty. We have mothers with children 3, 4, 5 years old, imprisoned. I was accused of being a coup plotter. It's absurd. It was similar to the Capitol. Although there, people died, here, no one died. No one wanted to stage a coup here on Sunday. Humble people. We have collectors who were imprisoned for months. There is a mother who has 100 children whose husband is sentenced to 14 years, a fugitive. Nowadays, Brazil has a huge problem with political refugees in Argentina, fleeing from Alexandre de Moraes. In fact, fleeing from 5 criminal charges. One of them being an armed attempt to change the democratic rule of law. No one was found with any weapon. They are humble people, which don't have the capacity to understand what a coup d'etat could be, what the seizure of power could entail. It is cowardice, and they condemn these people to absurd sentences to get to me and give me 28 years in prison. To justify 28 years in prison for me, without any evidence, just narratives. I wasn't in Brazil at that time. And when I said back then after the elections, because we filed with the last electoral body after the elections, some inconsistencies. What did Alexandre de Moraes decide to do? He didn't accept, he archived it, and fined the party 22 million reais. I couldn't do anything else. I had no way to appeal further to the Supreme Electoral Court. We even decided to consult the Constitution to see what we could do. And even seeing the situation, seeing we were unable to do anything, we then gave up questioning the elections and decided to accept the fate and wait for the opportune moment for us to seek a return to power.
Brazil, I'm so glad you're watching this. I want to tell you something here. Do you know what's the one thing tyrants or criminals in politics, in your government, you know what's the one thing they hate? Is for the people to have hope. It's been said, man and women can live 40 days without food, 4 days without water, 4 minutes without air, but only 4 seconds without hope. When I was in Brazil, we had dinner with Nicolas Ferreira. And while we're having dinner, we gave him a shirt and we took a picture together. It's called Future Looks Bright with Brazilian flag. I would love nothing more than to see thousands and thousands of people in Brazil to wear a shirt that says Future Looks Bright with your flag. Just for Brazil, we made these custom shirts for you. If you want to inject the spirit of hope in Brazil, go place 1 order, 2, 3, buy it for your peers, your family. Click on a link below or go to vtmerch.com and sport your Future Looks Bright shirt in Brazil. Let the dictators, let the tyrants get so angry the fact that you are optimistic about the future.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.